This card don't read so good. Wake up. This card in the set. What the hell is this? Best in show. All right, what is up, my friends? Welcome to the complete set review for Final Fantasy. Okay. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, support the content as always. And we are doing the entire set here. We've already done white, blue, black, and red, all up on YouTube, all in sections. We're going over every single card. Constructed, limited, all the cards, giving out the awards you know and love. And that's really it. You know, this is Magic set to me. I don't know any Final Fantasy stuff, all right? So, sorry. My bad. I don't know any Final Fantasy stuff, but we're going to work through and do our best here, and you'll educate me in the comments of a chat, all right? So, again, like, comment, subscribe. A lot of work goes into these, and I appreciate your support. Let's review the best color Magic. I don't know about that, but starting out with Airship Crash from Final Fantasy IX. I know that says it on the bottom of the card here. The meta for an instant. Short target artifact, enchantment, creature of flying, cycling 2. This is your standard, limited plummet variant, disenchant variant. The flexibility here is not good and constructed because you can this is more of a sideboard card. You just play a more efficient card. That being said, this is just like a, sideboard card, limited, not too much more. We can move along here to Ancient Adamantos.
Good Lord. Gigantism.
Disgusted.
That thing's huge. It's also our trap card. So we have an absolutely monstrous mythic here. 20 toughness. I don't think you've ever seen 20 on a card before in toughness. They're always really, really careful about putting the number 20 on cards because if they have some card that, deal damage equal to the creature's power or whatever. So erratic explosion, so on and so forth. They're usually very careful about that. So I think this is the first time. I could be wrong. But 8 mana for an 8/20. Vigilance Ward 3. It says damage isn't removed from this creature during cleanup steps. All damage that be dealt to you and other permanents you control is dealt to this creature. And if this creature dies, exile it and make 10 tapped treasure tokens. So basically, this thing just soaks up all the damage that you or your creatures would take. It's got 20 life points, basically. And when it dies, you get a little treasure. And of course, your stuff is saved. That being said, at 8 mana, this card isn't really castable, right? 8 is a pretty absurd amount. It's hard to properly convey how much more 8 is than 7. I know Atraxa is super castable and fell castable, but 8 is so much more than 7 when it comes to having to draw cards, make land drops and stuff. So that's a lot. And then as a reanimation target, I would rather just have Atraxa or some other, one of the many, many ridiculous idiots that we have, Valgavoth and so on and so forth. Making this card just kind of weird. It is really, really cool with the card Perenation, which is the thing that gives it indestructible. But there are so many ways around that. There are so many exile effects, unsummon effects. Ward 3 is not hexproof. Go for the throat and so on and so forth. So I don't think this card really has a home in competitive constructed. I think there are just better reanimation targets. And then, if you're looking to hard cast something, you probably do better in this as well. But pretty fun card. Obviously, Ray Commander card. There are a ton of Commander cards in this set. Looks like a pretty cool one. And, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, and then the reality is that, even if you do bring it back and give it, or I guess if it has indestructible and hexproof, I don't know, maybe. Well, I'm sure there'll be a 10-2 brew, Perenation in this card. But there you go. In limited, 8 mana is probably a little bit too much. Although the green... the green-red theme is Landfall, and the green-blue theme is Ramp. So maybe a possibility in limited. But yeah, cool card. Also a card that is good in certain matchups. So maybe if you're a reanimator deck and you want to have a card for certain matchups, you can do that too. So, but I think it'll be overplayed and overrated, hence why it is my trap card for green. Moving on to Blam T-Rexor. Blam, more like Bombin. We got our Bombin Common, folks. That is Bombin Common. I'm going to make some logos for these rewards because everyone thinks I'm saying Bomb Uncommon. It's not Bomb Uncommon. It's Bombin Common. Okay? And we've seen this card a lot already. This is very, very similar to the last Bombin Common in the last set, Migrating Ketradon, where we have a 6 mana 6/6 that gains you some life and can also cycle. So this one is a Trampler, not a reach creature, which is an improvement. Only gains 3, not 4. But as far as cycling, which I think is actually an improvement over regular cycling on the Ketradon, whereas most of the time, generic cycling is better than land cycling, but the only time you'd ever cycle a Ketrodon is if you were land screwed. So this always getting a forest does what you want it to do. It's a freaking big dinosaur, which is awesome. And yeah, let's F's in chat and the YouTube comments, please, for Colossal Dreadmaw, right? Aww. Tough. Real tough out there. Major creep on the Dreadmaw. It's even a dinosaur. So F's in chat all around. But this is probably going to be the best green common. Phenomenally good card. Again, ramp is a supported strategy, so should be really, really good. And there you have it. Constructed, obviously not. But when it comes to limited, this is going to be a card you're going to want early and often. Balam T-Rex or our Bombin Common. Next up is Bard's Bow.
This is easily the most rewarding job I have ever had.
They made it for a equipment with Job Select. So of course, Job Select is an ability that makes a hero token, or 1/1 token that's already attached to it.
I wish I was a hero.
And it has the buff on it. Very important to look at these at their base stats, okay? So this is a 1/1 with +2/2 reach and as a bard. So it's basically a 3/3 reach for 3, which is an okay limited stat line. And then of course, when you lose the creature, you can re-equip it. This re-equip here, though, is 6. That's a lot. 6 is a pretty insane amount of mana to re-equip on. And this, of course, is not in the artifact colors or the equipment colors for synergy. It's actually as far from those as it can possibly be. So, feels like mostly a filler limited card here. Not the most exciting, but, you know, little value. A 3/3 reach for 3 is already almost good enough by itself. So, I think this card's fine. Limited filler, not much else. Bartz and Boko.
I like that bird, though.
5 mana for a 4/3 affinity with bird for birds. So affinity means that it costs 1 less for each bird you control. Whenever it enters, each other bird you control deals damage equal to its power to a creature an opponent controls. This card is kind of nice. Where realistically, whenever you have a card with affinity for something, that something needs to be good. This is not a card that's good by itself. It needs help. If there is a bird deck in Standard, and don't forget, Bloomburrow does have a lot of birds in it. There was tribe synergy there, or kindred synergy there. And then, of course, there are a lot of chocobos in the set as well. And if they come together, this will be a really good card in that deck. It'll be, hopefully a 2 mana 4/3 that can kill a creature. Ravenous Chupacabra, eat your heart out. If there is no bird deck, this card is unplayable constructed. So very, very locked in on if the rest of the cards are good. That being said, this is a phenomenal limited card. Just absolutely phenomenal. So very, very powerful card in limited. Possibly powerful card in constructed. I'm sure I'll have at least one bird deck in 10 New Brews, which is coming up Wednesday, June 4th, 2 p.m. Hope to see you there. Early access should be a lot of fun. But yeah, cool card. One we'll definitely try. Has a lot of potential. Looks pretty cool. Next up is Blitzball Shot, or as I like to call it, Predator Strike.
Pointless nostalgia.
Anyone Predator Strike? I was there, Gandalf. 2 mana for an instant, +3/+3, and gains trampled in a turn. This is a really good combat trick and limited. Trample's a huge deal if you're aggressive. If you are an aggressive green deck, this card's going to be excellent. Also plays well in with the landfall creatures that get like this power buff, but not a toughness buff to push that damage through. And good in green decks looking for trample. And yeah, it's nothing really crazy here. This is just what you'd expect it to be. It is a card we've seen many, many times before, and it's a good combat trick and limited, and that is really it. Kakator. This is a plant thing. This is like a thing, right? Probably, maybe. 1 green for a 3/3 trample. If we stop there, it'd be pretty good. But it says at the beginning of your end step, if this creature did not enter the battlefield this turn, return it to its owner's hand. So basically, this can attack 1 time, and then it goes back to your hand. But it can block a turn you play it. For limited, this card seems kind of nice, honestly. You just play it. If you ever block and trade with it, you're happy because it costs 1 mana. And then if you attack with it, you attack for 3, you bounce it, cheap to play again. This could do some possible multi-spell landfall things if that's a relevant synergy. So pretty cool card in that it is on a good rate and has possible synergies. That being said, it probably won't find a home. Let's say a specific reason for this card to get constructed, but for limited, this card's great, and it's a fun little build around if you are looking for this sort of thing. So cool card, cool cactus plant thing, and apparently in the game they run around a lot and they're very fast and run away. Sure, cool. Chocobo kick.
Wow, What? Now there's a bird involved.
2 mana for a sorcery. Kicker, return a land to your owner's hand. This is just your usual bite spell, and if you kick it, you get a double bite. This is really important because, again, the red-green deck is all about landfall. All chocobos care about landfall. They all have most chocobos are a 2/2 with landfall +1/+0. So being able to return your land is almost an upside, not necessarily a downside in those decks. And your usual bite card. This being a sorcery for limited is a little rougher. But still pretty good. Good green removal spell. And then the double power thing is pretty cool too, allowing you to really trade up. If I have a 3/3 and you have a 4/4, I'm not dead here. I'm dead in the water. So, good green kill spell. Want to be one of the better green commons in limited. And a good synergy piece for the Chocobo deck.
Oh, stupid bird!
Speaking of Chocobos, we got Chocobo Racetrack. 5 mana for an artifact. Simply has landfall. Whenever a land ETBs, make one of these Chocobo tokens. So a 2/2 green bird token with landfall +1/+0. This is an interesting one, right? This is one of those cards where it looks like a limited powerhouse if it gets going, but it has to actually get going. Very, very dependent on how fast the format is. If it's a fast format, this card's kind of eh. If it's not a fast format, this card's going to be great. Unbelievable. It also feels more like a 6-drop. Where you really want to play, you want to play the racetrack and then immediately play a land to get it going. So that's a little tough, kind of a hard sell. Good, but very slow limited card. If we're constructed, we can do better than this. Feldar Retreat is already in standard. Maybe play both. I don't know, but it's a pretty cool, fun card. Moving on to Clash of the Icons. 1 green for a sorcery. Fight or remove or add a lore counter from a saga you control. Now, this is pretty important. All right. 1 green for a fight, Prey Upon, is not a playable limited card these days. But being able to remove a lore counter from a saga is a lot more than it sounds like. Because a lot of the sagas in this set, I think all of them actually, are creatures. And they kind of have fading where they'll eventually go away. So if you can get another ability and keep your saga creature around for one more turn, that's pretty cool. You could also race on a saga if you want to. Is that worth a card? I don't know. That's definitely to be determined. And having the fight as a buyout isn't bad either. I'm not sure how good this card is. It is. I'm sorry. It's choose 1 or more. My apologies. That's actually a lot better. So you can do a fight thing and we can do a lore thing. Okay, sure. I think this card's kind of cool. Yeah, this is a pretty nice one. And apparently you can remove and add, which is cool as well. So yeah, that's a pretty cool card. Very, very hard to evaluate because the saga creatures are already super hard to evaluate. And this is a card that goes with the saga creatures, so it's even more confusing. So might be a cool limited card, but I don't really know. Honestly, this is one we got to play with. Look for it on Bronze Mythic. Coliseum Behemoth is next.
Good lord.
7 mana
Gigantic.
for a 7/7 trample when it ETBs, disenchant, or draw a card. An expensive but good limited card. Again, said it already. Blue-green's archetype in draft is all about ramping, and red-green's all about landfall, which is also going to have a lot of mana. So, pretty good limited card, pretty good top end. You prefer to have some mythic rare, but if this is your top end card, not super unhappy about that. Commune with Beavers, always trying to do the ponder thing, is green, and it hasn't quite gotten there yet. This one's pretty good though. 1 green sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, or may reveal an artifact, creature, or land from among them, and put it in your hand. Rest go on the bottom. So, that's getting closer to a green ponder. This is similar to Oath of Nissa, minus the synergy stuff of bouncing it and so on and so forth. But land or creature or artifact is a pretty good spread. I'd imagine if there's some sort of like combo-y deck, with, say, Agatha's Soul Cauldron and creatures, this card would be pretty good there. Not finding an enchantment is tough because you can't find Insidious Roots, so you're kind of looking at what deck would want this kind of card. That being said, if you have a deck with a ton of creatures and artifacts in them, this card will play reasonably well. But yeah, I think it's okay. I don't think it's quite there yet, although I do like green, design-wise, getting into this space. I think it's pretty fun. So, more of a constructed card than a limited card, but still a fine card and limited too. It's cool. Cool little card. Definitely nice. Diamond Weapon. Damn, that is huge. 9 mana, and this is the Diamond Weapon, not a Diamond Weapon. So it is legendary. 9 mana for an 8/8. It has affinity for permanent cards in your graveyard. And it's got reach. And it says prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to diamond weapon. And that's not quite indestructible. But it's, it's half indestructible. That being said, on an 8/8, most combat damage won't kill this anyway. It's just so freaking big. Pretty cool card. There is a green-black graveyard theme. Most of the limited themes in this set are pretty much what you'd expect. This is a fairly simple set in that regard, which makes sense because it's going to be an entry-level set for a lot of new players. But this is a pretty cool limited card. If you are doing the graveyard thing, if you can cast this for even 6 mana, I think you're really, really happy. 5, you're stoked. 4 or less, you're over the moon. Which is pretty powerful. So if you're doing the graveyard thing, this card seems pretty nice. And it's a good late game card. It still can die to removal spells, but pretty cool. And then in Constructed, we have cheaper ways to do this kind of effect. You don't really need the overkill, I think, and it still dies to whatever random removal spell. Not go for the throat, I suppose, but yeah. So overall, just a good Bombing limited card. The Earth Crystal. This is the green crystal. There's one of these for every color, and they are 4 mana medallions with 2 abilities. This one has the it's actually better than Hardened Scales. Is whatever one or more counters we put onto a creature you control, double those counters, which is a pretty powerful effect, but for 4 mana, it's kind of tough. And then it has 6 mana tap, put 2 counters, so effectively 4, among 1 or 2 creatures you control. I don't think these crystals are very good for competitive Constructed, for 1v1 Constructed. They're just really, really expensive. I do think that the red one is kind of cool. Look for that in the red section. But Constructed, probably not. In Limited, they are really slow, but they are really powerful. The medallion effect is pretty cool, especially in green when you're ramping. But overall, I think these cards are mostly just limited maybes and then commander cards, not much else, with the red one being the minor exception. Esper Origins. This is a green card. What do you mean Esper?
Somebody's playing
What the hell are you talking about?
on me.
Esper Origins, 2 mana for a sorcery. This is a flip card. Surveil 2, you gain 2 life. If this spell is cast from a graveyard, exile it, and then put it onto its battlefield under its owner's control with a finality counter on it. So, we got a little flashback spell here.
Oh, I thought we were doing a flashback. We're not.
Surveil 2, gain 2 is not worth a card. However, flash it back for 4, and we get Surveil 2, gain 2 again, and we transform into Summon Esper Maduin. So remember, these are the saga creatures. These are creatures that are sagas. You go through the chapters, and on chapter 3, it does go away. It does die. So it's very important to note on these, how many times can it attack? For 3 chapters, it can only attack once, right? So it comes into play as a 4/4. Reveal top card of your library. If it's a permanent, put it in your hand, which is not bad. Chapter 2, add green, then it can attack. Chapter 3, a mini overrun, and then it goes away. So that being said, is that worth 4 mana, 2 mana and then 4 mana with a little bit of manipulation? I think the ideal thing here is to just try and bin this somehow and not cast it the first time. And 4 mana, flashback, and boom, you have Esper Maduin. But overall, this card seems, I don't know, just kind of medium. Good limited card, because, I think that the effect in the overrun's pretty good. But yeah, I think that Constructed-wise, not really there. Mostly just a fine limited card. Not very exciting. You are I suppose, the front side is 2 mana, Surveil 2, gain 2, draw the flashback card, kind of, in a way.
Yes, love a flashback.
A little bit, kind of, but yeah. It's just okay. Good limited card. Golf's Final Act. 2 mana for an instant. So end of turn. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains. When this creature dies, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to its power on up to 1 target creature. So much more similar to the black removal spell or black tricks for limited that leave behind a creature rather than a usual green pump spell that would win a combat. So I have a 4/4, you have a 5/5, I attack, play this spell, I get to dump the counters on a creature. That's the best case scenario. But a lot of times you're going to have a 2/2 and they're going to have a 4/4 and you're going to look at this and just go, I guess. All right. So not super exciting. It's not really a combat trick, and you are putting a lot of your eggs in one basket, which is not a great place to be. So I think this card is just an limited card and not too much more. Gigantoad. 4 mana for a 4/4. As long as you control 7 or more lands, this gets +2/+2. Blue-green has a kind of land, town, ramp theme going. And I'm surprised this card doesn't have reach. That would make it a pretty good common. As it stands, this is a filler level common and limited. 4/4 for 4 ain't what it used to be. Without any other keyword abilities, it's kind of unassuming. And then 6/6, for later on is just okay. So I think mostly a filler limited card. Nothing too exciting. Goobadoo Gardener.
You're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa.
Goobadoo Gardener. 2 mana for a 1/3 mana dork. This is a fine limited card. Not much more. We've seen cards like this a million times. Good draft card if you're ramping. Otherwise, not playable, constructed. That's really it. Grand Pulse Ochu. 1 mana for a 1/1 Death Touch, a stat line that I always love in limited. And then for 8 mana, this card can get +1/+1 for each permanent card in your graveyard. I like these 1 mana Death Touchers that have like a late game ability. We had the black one in Aether Drift, which drained life for like 6 or 7 mana. That being said, 8's a lot. A lot. So the ability is not super relevant. However, I'm just a huge fan of one Death Touch for 1 in limited. In decks that want to stay alive. If you are blocking this trades, always trades up on mana, plays well with bite spells. It's super cheap. So if you are a ramp deck, if you want to stay alive, I'm a big fan of this card. And then, late in the game, if you got some spare mana, sure, dump it in there and make it big. Geisel Greens, 2 mana for a common sorcery. Make a 2/2 bird chocobo.
What? Now there's a bird involved.
Has the landfall ability, +1/+0. Also has flashback for 7. And this is just a cool card for your landfall decks. Makes a token. The chocobo token is not great. It's not really worth 2 mana, but the flashback ability is kind of cool. And then this is also a sorcery, which can matter for some stuff, I suppose. Not that often, honestly. But yeah, just, fine limited 2-drop. If you are that deck and you want this kind of effect, this will do that for you. Otherwise, not very exciting. Speaking of exciting, Jumbo Kakator. Very silly card. 7 mana for a 1/7. Has the ability 10,000 Needles. Whenever a creature attacks, it gets +9,999 until end of turn. So it will be a 10,000 power creature. That is obviously very silly. Sure, you can fling this or whatever, do your combos, yada, yada, yada. I'm not sure. I am hopeful that in Bronze to Mythic, at one point, we will have this and the +3/+3 and trample and kill our opponent. That would be really cool. But this card's obviously quite bad. This is definitely a meme card. 7 mana for a 1/7 that needs to attack and then also have help on the attack is pretty rough. But yeah, fun card, silly card. Don't let your memes be dreams. And have fun with this card. In limited, I think this card is... I think if you have like one trample trick in your deck, this card's like actively good. Without any synergy at all, it's just like fine. 7 toughness is not exactly a ton. But yeah, silly card, meme card. This is going to be a lot of people's favorite card in the set. And that's cool. I like that a lot. Love that for you if it's your favorite card in the set. Loperit Scout. 2 mana for a 3/2. It's a rabbit scout. Whenever a creature you control enters, this creature gets +1/+1 to end of turn. So the whole rabbit thing, green-white's synergy in this limited environment is going to go wide stuff. There's a common white sorcery that makes 3 1/1s. So that curves pretty well with this. I'm attacking for 6 in the next turn. And yeah, this is just again, more limited filler. You only really want this if you're green-white, so it's a card you will get super late. But if you do get it late, you'll know your deck is open. It's pretty cool. Precious Wanderings. 2 mana for an instant. Search a library for a basic land card or a town card. Very important. More on that later. Put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. And when you search your library this way, you can put a counter on a creature you control. So note this is a delayed trigger, so your opponent cannot kill the creature in response and fizzle this effect, which would make it much, much worse. So 2 mana rampant growth, instant speed, a little bit of a combat trick. If you ever win a combat with this, you're feeling awesome. But this is kind of a ramp card for the town deck in limited. I don't think this card's great. 3 mana ramp is not particularly awesome most of the time. The counter is a nice little consolation prize, and if you have a cool town, a cool, nice, rare town or whatever, that's nice. But yeah, mostly filler, just okay. It's fine. And if there is some town deck in Constructed that really wants this card, I'd be very surprised. Quina, Coup Gourmet. The mana for a 2/3 legendary creature. If one or more tokens to be created under your control, those tokens are made plus a 1/1 green frog token instead. It's a weird instead, but sure. 2 mana sack a frog, but a counter on this. Again, great limited uncommon go wide card. Really nothing more than that. This is just a good limited card. Eats frogs, gets bigger, and that's really it. Just good limited card, not playable Constructed. If you are the green-white go wide deck, this is going to be a good one for you. Reach the Horizon. That's a cool one, right? Cool little card. Cool art. 4 mana for a sorcery. Social library for up to 2 basic lands and or town cards with different names. Put them in the battlefield, tapped, and then shuffle. So we see this card a lot. This is the explosive vegetation with set mechanic. And that's really cool. That is, seeing these lands that can go tutor up different towns is really nice. There are a lot of towns. We'll see those in the color section. But if there is a town deck, I wouldn't be surprised if this card would see play in it. It is a pretty slow card. So if standard keeps being very fast, it might need to wait till rotation. But if you are playing a somewhat slower format, this card is quite powerful at what it does. In limited, if you are the ramp deck, this card seems kind of nice. And again, finding those town synergies, finding those mana fixing, all cool. A little slow, definitely reliant on how fast the format is, be it limited or standard, but a cool card that I like a lot, and I will definitely be playing in 10 New Brews, so look for that one coming up. A Realm Reborn. 6 mana for an enchantment. Other permanents you control have add 1 mana of any color. The kind of card that could be busted in some silly combo deck, but they've front-loaded the mana cost so much. 6 mana is an absurd amount, but this can make an unbelievable amount of mana. So all of your creatures, all of your artifacts, all of your clues, all of your enchantments, all of your everything, tap for mana, which is crazy. And once you have 1 million mana, figure it out. Solve your own puzzle or whatever. You should probably be able to win the game at that point. So this is definitely a big-time commander card. Definitely a big-time casual card. Not playable and limited. You can't utilize this amount of mana. And in Constructed, we have occasionally seen huge effects like this matter in Constructed. The Green Virtue in like the Aftermath Analyst decks and so on and so forth. That being said, when these cards are playable in Constructed, they're usually cards like Cryptolith Rite, which is a 2 mana, all of your creatures have this ability. That's a big difference, 2 and 2 and 6. So probably not there in 1v1 Constructed, but probably a big commander card. So commander players, have your fun. Ride the Shapoof. Shoopuff. 2 mana for enchantment. Landfall. Whenever a land ETBs, put a counter on a creature you control. And then 7 mana. This enchantment becomes a 7/7 beast creature in addition to other types, and that's a permanent one. This card's good. This card's very, very nice in the Landfall deck. Plays really well at Tifa. More on that later. And, getting some counters here and there, but then also having the buyout of a 7 mana 7/7 is pretty nice. So if you are the Landfall deck in limited, this card seems great. And I think in Constructive, this card could have a chance if there was some sort of Landfall deck. Having this as a redundant piece to dump counters on Tifa is really cool. You're probably playing fetch lands, Fabled Passage and Friends, which makes it a lot better. So I think this card is an outside shot at Constructed, and it's a pretty good limited card. It's a fun one. Fun build around. Raida's Return. 5 mana for a sorcery. Choose one. Plus the ability to all your creatures, or return 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Kind of a weird card. We've got Overrun with no trample, or Restock. Very, very different abilities. But what's kind of cool here is that when you have Overrun in your hand, but they killed all your creatures, and you're just like, oh man,
still a piece of garbage.
What am I gonna do with this thing? Having a buyout for that scenario is pretty cool. And then most of the time, Restock, 4 or 5 mana, return 2 things. It's not really a particularly good card in limited, but the overrun's not bad. So I think the modality here is pretty cool. It's probably not a great card. If you are like the go wide deck, this can be a nice finisher. No trample is a big bummer, but not a very high pick, I don't think. But I think it's, it's a synergy piece for the go wide deck, and that's really it. But kind of cool to see these melding of effects in limited. It's nice. Saz Katsuroi. 4 mana for a 3/3 legend. It's a human pilot. Whenever it enters, you may search your library for a bird, or a basic land card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Whenever it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and then double the number of counters on that creature. Another 4-mana legend that has to attack to do anything. I'm sorry, that's not true. You get a land or a bird, so it does tutor, it is card advantage, it's kind of a goblin matron in that respect. The attack trigger, and it's also on attacks, not damage. This card's kind of fine, honestly. The fact that you're gaining immediate value off of it, and then when you attack, it doesn't need to connect. I don't think it's good enough for constructed, realistically. You know, I doubt there's a really good bird toolbox, you know, to pull birds out of. You know, and you just play more good birds if that's the case. And the attack trigger is okay, but you know, it's a weird mixture of like I have a bird deck that's also a counter deck. Yeah, so not a great cost for value here, but pretty cool, honestly. Definitely a phenomenal limited card. Constructed probably not though. Saz's Chocobo, 1 mana for an 0/1 landfall.
What? Now there's a bird involved.
Landfall. Put a counter on this. Not bad. You know, Landfall is one of those abilities that scales really well as formats get older with fetch lands. So with fetch lands, this is like sort of a permanent step links in a way. 1 fetch land, now it's 2/3, and it scales up from there. You play this card on turn 1 to be really, really good. If you draw it on turn 4, you're going to be super sad. So it's one of those high variance cards. I think it's okay. Card, do you mind? I'm doing a set review. I'm trying to do a set review. Is it okay with you? Can you wait a minute, please? Thank you. So yeah, definitely not. Why is this? So Saz's Chocobo would like die and you get a new one? Is that why it's not legendary? Thankfully, it's not legendary because it would be very bad in that case. Playing 4 would be awkward. But yeah, pretty good card. Definitely a card that could see play constructed. Possibly a card that could see play in older formats, and then a good limited card too. It's like a goldfish. Yeah, exactly. Side quest: raise a Chocobo. 2 mana for an enchantment. Every color has a side quest. They're all enchantments where you have to, do a side quest. 2 mana for enchantment. When the ETBs make a Chocobo token. Pretty cool. And then in your first main phase, if you control 4 or more birds, transform this enchantment into a black Chocobo, which is also a 2/2 with the Landfall Chocobo ability. But when it flips, you get to search library for a land card and put it by tapped. Obviously, very good with landfall stuff. So this card seems phenomenal. Phenomenal limited card. You know, a 2/2 for a Chocobo token is already good enough, and you get a lot of upside here too. And constructed, I gotta doubt that there'll be, Chocobo stuff happening in constructed. And it's also not a bird card, which matters for a number of synergy pieces too. So, probably not there in constructed, but definitely a great limited card. Fun stuff. It does search for any land, that is true. So you can get your cool whatever land. Get a Cavern of Souls or something, but yeah. Summon a fat Chocobo. That's not nice. Alright? Chocobo is just living his life. Alright, leave him alone. So we have a common saga creature here with 4 chapters, very important to note. And chapter 1 is Wark. Make a Chocobo token.
I like that bird, though.
Cool. Chapter 2, 3, and 4 is creatures you control gain trampled end of turn. So this is a 4/4. Again, this thing can attack twice. So 5 mana, play it on turn 5. You get a 4/4 and a 2/2. The next turn you can attack. The next turn you can attack. The next turn it goes away. So it is a temporary thing, but it's big enough where your opponent can't ignore it, which is cool. And it comes with a token alongside of it. So I think this card's pretty good. It's probably the kind of card you won't always play, but if you are doing the kind of rampy thing or landfall thing, it's pretty cool. And yeah, trample's a pretty good ability to have on your big creatures. And I'd imagine by the time you've attacked twice with this, they've needed to block it or something, but it will go away. It does have fading. Yeah, it's cool stuff. Apparently I screwed up on this. My bad. I'm sorry. I misread the Black Chocobo. It pumps all of your birds, which makes it a lot better. So if it's a bird deck, this card's probably in it. I apologize. Next up is Summon Fenrir. And folks, wake up. We got a sleeper card. This is the uncommon green saga creature. 3 mana for a 3/2 Saga Wolf. Chapter 1, search for a basic, put it in tapped. Chapter 2, When you cast your next creature spell of his turn, it adds a counter. Chapter 3, draw a card if you control a creature with the greatest power or tied for the greatest power. This card is nice. A 3/2 rampant growth that can block for a turn or two if you're trying to defend yourself. And if you're on the offensive, can attack, can put a little buff on there, and maybe even draw a card too. That is great. This card is really, really good. I think this card has a place in any sort of ramp deck, being that it is both defensive and offensive is really, really nice. Again, you're playing against mono red, play it on turn 3 and block. Awesome. Get 3/2, get a land, block is phenomenal. And then if you're not playing a deck where blocking is relevant, you're likely to hit that third chapter and draw a card. So I think this card's great. I think this is a real sleeper in this set. Card is really, really cool. It's a phenomenal limited card, but I think it has a really good chance of constructed as well. There's also an enchantment if that matters too for like synergies and so on. But this card's awesome. Big, big fan of Summon Fenrir. I'll be playing a lot of this card going forward, and we'll see if I'm right. Sleeper card for green, Summon Fenrir. Next summon is Summon Titan. 5 mana for a 7/7 reach trample. Chapter 1, mill 5 cards. Chapter 2, Splendid Reclamation. Return all those lands back from the graveyard tapped. And then Chapter 3, till end of turn, another creature you control gets +X in trample, where X is the number of lands you control. So, with 3 chapters, this card could only attack once. That being said, it is a 7/7 reach for 5. So the turn you play it, it blocks really well. Gets 1 chunky attack in, and then makes your next thing attack well also. Card's kind of a banger, honestly. Mill 5. Don't need to do that much work on the land return ability, because if you just, mill over a land or two, maybe you're playing some fetch lands, you don't need to get that much off that ability to be pretty happy with this one. So, card's good. Curves very well off of Summon Fenrir. So, definitely some sort of land that could be happening here. And, it's a nice card. Great limited card also. An absolute banger in limited. And a card that could definitely see some play constructed. Summoner's Grimoire. 4 mana for a artifact equipment with job select.
But you already have a dream job.
Yeah, get a job, folks. Comes into play with a 1/1 hero token attached to it. Equipped creature is a shaman. In addition to its other types, it has whenever this creature attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield, and if it's an enchantment card, it enters tapped and attacking. So, plays really well with the large sagas, which there are a few of. That being said, it does have to attack. Now, in theory, you could, equip this to a creature already in play and then attack. That's very expensive. So, feels like Kona, kind of one of those like aspirational green cards where, if I can just do this thing, I'll get an Atraxa in play. Awesome. A little harder to utilize, I think, but definitely higher upside. Probably going to end up not being super amazing. It is only a 1/1 for 4, so that's kind of sketchy. So probably not really good enough, but it is a pretty exciting card. I think honestly the best way to use this might be there's like the creature that auto equips. I think right. There's a few of those in Magic, honestly, in various ways. Find some way to do that. Where you can play it, auto equip it, attack immediately. That can be pretty cool, but probably not worth the trouble. Then in limited, definitely not worth the trouble because a 4 mana 1/1 is not very good. Tifa Lockhart. This is an important character, right? Maybe. Probably important. Best in show for green. I think this card is pretty nasty. So Tifa Lockhart, 2 mana for a legendary 1/2 trample. Has landfall whenever a land enters. Double Tifa's power until end of turn. All right. So that's not bad. That is not bad. If you're able to get, 1 or 2 pumps here onto Tifa, we're talking about doubling, where things go pretty damn wild. Bristly Bill, the enchantment we saw earlier that puts counters on, only needs a little bit of a boost. So where those landfall things are really going to add up. And then if you're actually actively ramping, if you play like, a green overlord or something else like that, that's really good. So find some ways to put some counters on this, get a few land drops or 2, maybe a fetch land as well. And Tifa attacks for a whole bunch of damage. And that's not, if this card costs 3 or more, not about it. But for a 2-drop, that is pretty damn impressive. So I think Tifa is probably going to be honestly better in constructed than limited because it's more of a build around. Probably still good in limited too. But Tifa looks pretty damn nice. Really, really awesome card. Really fun card to build around. They were not shy with the face characters in this set. In the Lord of the Rings set, you know, every card that's not the One Ring that is a good card and sees a lot of play is a generic card. Orcish Bowmasters could be in any Magic set. Delighted Halfling could be in any Magic set, you know. But the face characters in this set are primarily all excellent cards. So Tifa looks really good. I'll be playing Tifa in Tender Brews for sure. So look for Tifa, our best in show for green. Next up is Tifa's Limit Break. 1 green instant with tiered. So for 1 green, +2/+2. For 3 green, you can double power. And then for 8 mana, you can triple target creature's power and toughness on a turn, which is very, very silly. For the most part, this is just a +2/+2 that will occasionally double power. Mostly a limited trick. Not very exciting. You know, just is what it is. Limited card, and that's really it. I'm sure some player or commander will triple some power toughness and go crazy and stuff, but not really a thing. Torgal, a Fine Hound. 2 mana for a 2/2 wolf. Whenever you cast your first human creature spell each turn, that creature gets an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each dog and or wolf you control. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. This card's good, right? Like a 2/2 mana dork for 2 is already pretty fine. And even by itself, buffing every additional human is pretty great. And if you happen to have more wolves or dogs in play, it buffs it even more. Yeah, I mean, this is a bonkers limited card, but also a card that could see play constructed. That being said, it's a card that we're playing in our human deck, but it's a wolf. There's certainly some hoops to jump through. But yeah, that is quite the card. Excellent limited card. Fringe playable constructed card. That's a nice one. Town Greeter. F's in chat for Seder Wayfinder. 2 mana for 1/1. ETB mill 4. Put a land from among those cards into your hand. You put a town card in your hand's way, gain 2 life. Now the issue here, of course, is that the town cards don't really play with self mills, so like not really that exciting for Greeter. But Seder Wayfinder is a card that has seen play in tons of places. Modern, Pioneer, Standard. Very good effect if you're looking to do graveyard stuff. This is going to be a great limited card for green-black decks. And if you're playing Constructed, you want a card that mills. This does that really, really well. So, great mill enabler, great card. Don't know how much the town thing will matter in Constructed, but still very valid if it does. And maybe you use that Titan and like Reclamation back all your lands. But yeah, cool stuff. Like the flavor here. Listen, I don't play Final Fantasy, but I know about town. You know, gotta have town in your games. Make that town run. So, yeah, there you go. Town Greeter. Traveling Chocobo.
Birdie.
3 mana for a 3/2. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands or birds off the top of your library. And if a land or bird you control entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger, it triggers an additional time. That's pretty good. You know, if there is some sort of bird chocobo deck, this will be the linchpin of it. The future sight ability is very, very good. The fact that it's lands and spells is huge. So you can go like land, spell, spell. Extra lands for landfall. Double triggers on landfall. Yeah, it's a little fragile at 3/2, but a powerful card nonetheless. And great limited card. And then constructed, if there is a bird deck, this definitely does it. You know, that second toughness is tough, but yeah, cool stuff. Vanille, Cheerful Lissy. 4 mana for a 3/2, legendary human cleric. EDB mill 2, then return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, so Eternal Witness. And then, at the beginning of your first main phase, if you own and control this card and Fang Fearless Sea, which is a black card, you can pay 5 mana, and if you do, meld. More on the meld later. The meld is in the multicolored section. Kind of a weird one to put, just kind of awkward. So we're going to look at this card at face value here. And for limited, 3/2, ETB, return a permanent, pretty good. Pretty good card. Constructed, not good enough. So, yeah, cool limited card. And then meld we'll discuss at a later date. Being today, just later. So to recap, green, our best in show, Tifa Lockhart. Our sleeper card, Summon Fenrir. Our trap card, Ancient Adamantos. And our Bombin Common is Blam T-Rexor. So folks, multicolor is coming up. YouTube folks love you. Like, comment, subscribe, support the content. Let me know what you think, and don't miss 10 New Brews tomorrow. 10 New Brews, Wednesday the 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Early Access. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to see you there. And we got Bronze Mythic happening on the 15th. A slight delay on the start because I will be in LA doing some contracting work for Riot and their new card game, which is really cool. So, like, comment, subscribe. Don't go nowhere, stream folks.